Hello there, Leo. Welcome back to Misfits of the Zodiac. I am going to be doing a monthly reading for you for the month of September. Can you believe we are in fall? It's insane. Very exciting. So I pulled some cards ahead of time for you. I'm getting a lot of big cycles ending and you starting something brand new. This feels very much like you're cutting a lot of things out of your life and things that aren't serving you anymore, that feel like stagnant energy, which makes sense because you just had your birthday. And to me, birthdays are kind of like your new year, your own personal new year. That's the way that I look at them. And it feels like you're making some assessments and you're looking at your life as a whole and seeing what you've achieved and seeing what you would like to achieve. You started out with the world tree, which is all about cycles. In this particular depiction, you can kind of see, speaking of the seasons, you have winter here, fall, spring, and summer, or I think this might be spring and this is summer. And then you have this snake here, which represents the ending of cycles and the beginning of new cycles. So, excuse me, this is all about, again, a major cycle ending and something new beginning. And it feels like the universe, your guides might be asking for you to cut some things out because this is the death card in this particular deck. It's asking of you to basically make an assessment, look at things from more broad perspective, and see what's working and what's not working, and anything that's not working, cutting it out and moving on. That's going to help you step into the new energy. So that's what I get with that card. Your next card is the High Priest. So this is asking you basically to work within systems that are already established. Work with potentially solar energy. So almost like gearing up for the darker months. It feels very much like you are preparing for that, whether you're decorating for spooky season, I know we are, or just kind of resetting and like kind of, again, cleansing. I don't always get that with this card, but that's the energy that I'm getting from this in this particular reading. It feels like, again, you're cleansing anything that's not working, getting rid of anything that's not working. If you do practice, cleansing, this might be a good time to do that, because whenever you're like getting rid of or trying to get rid of old stagnant energy, it's always good to clear the air as well. Kind of like move the air through your space. You might want to open up some windows. You could light some incense. You could just do some fall cleaning, whatever makes sense for you. But whatever it is that you're releasing, thinking about that as you're working through that cleansing, while you're cleansing your space. I think I'm getting a ringing in this ear, which tells me that I'm hitting something for someone. This is making sense for somebody. So that's what I would recommend is, if you are releasing stuff, it might be good to like get a full fresh start by cleansing your space, your immediate space, probably your home, in other words. Your next cards, you have the Seven of Wands. So this is talking all about, she's like putting up these wands on her wall here. And this particular card is all about you're doing something that makes sense for you and it's working. So to me, again, this feels like as you're getting rid of things, as you're letting things go, you're no longer looking for things that, and holding on to things that make sense for other people, if that makes sense, okay? So if there are belongings in your space that you've been holding on because you kind of feel almost like guilty that you shouldn't get rid of it, Obviously use your own discretion, but you might need to work on some Marie Kondoing, if that makes sense. So if you have not heard of Marie Kondo, she kind of talks about holding on to things that bring you joy, and you can look her up. I won't go into too much detail about that, but she's very good at like helping you get very clear about the things that still bring you joy, or the things that you're actually using, and learning how to let go of things that aren't working. And I feel like this card is touching base with that. It's like saying that making sure the things that you are moving into this new cycle with make sense for you. They're not things for other people. If you're holding on or making space for someone else, that's a worthy cause. That's a worthy thing to do. But maybe checking in and finding out how much longer you need to maybe be doing that. And if it is your stuff and someone's trying to make you feel guilty about whether or not you should hold on to that stuff, I definitely have people like that in my life. It's time for you to be like, you know what, this is... I only have so much room in my space. I only have so much room in my life. So I'm going to cut to the chase and get to the things that make the most sense for me right now and get rid of the rest. I think if you do that, you're going to have a lot of success. You have the 9 of Pentacles next. So this is all about happy home. You can tell, you can kind of see the kids are running around, having a good time. And the couple here... imagining, if they are a couple, they're got smile on their face. They're enjoying the splendor of life. You also have this little guy down here. I believe he's a gecko, and it's either a gecko, I think it's a salamander. It might be a gecko, I'm not positive, but I know salamanders are representation usually for wands, but they're usually representation of business and business doing well. It's usually a good omen. So when you see them, this might just basically mean that maybe you are going through a transition in your work life. Maybe you are cutting out an old job that doesn't work for you anymore, and you're moving into a new one, or you're becoming an entrepreneur. That's the vibe I get from this, is that it feels very much like an independent kind of an energy for me personally. But you could just be transferring to a different job, or by you clearing out your space, you're able to focus more on your business, focus more on the work that you do, and you're able to show up with more energy. And therefore you might see that you end up getting a raise, or you just have more sales, okay, as a result. So that's another great way to know whether or not you're getting rid of the things that are necessary, like holding on to the things that are necessary and getting rid of all the other things that don't make sense anymore. That could be something that you see as a result of doing that work. The next card that you have is the Queen of Athames, and this is talking all about, again, being real decisive and cutting out the things that are no longer serving you anymore as well. She's very clear about what she wants. She can sometimes be a little bit I don't want to say prudish. That's not the word that I'm looking for. Sometimes this card can be telling you to don't overdo it with the independence, is basically what I think I'm getting mostly from this card. I don't always get that from this, but I feel like finding a happy medium, like coming in with reason and saying, this works for me, this doesn't work for me anymore. I want to keep this, I don't want to keep that. Being clear about that, but then also remembering that there might be someone who might have their feelings hurt. So trying to keep other people in mind when you're doing it, and it's all about the way that you say it, okay? Because swords are representation for communication and clarity and getting really clear. It also might just be because it's the Queen, you're just getting super clear in September about what works and what doesn't, and that is helping you make this transition. I think also I'm seeing that you're probably going to be pretty busy in the month of September. I know for us, work just picked up like crazy, and that's why I wasn't able to get anything other than monthlies out. It's the first time in like probably almost a year that we've seen business actually picking up. The reason that I say that is you have the Two of Pentacles, and this gentleman is juggling his pentacles here. There's a storm brewing, but he feels secure because he's built the barn behind him. And if you notice in this particular depiction, hopefully you can see it if I point it here, there's like a little fox here. You can barely see it. I'm trying to get it just right here. There's a little fox here. Anyway, that's all about strategy. So you're getting really in your clarity, in your cleansing, in your letting go of the old, you're able to find more balance, which makes sense, right? Because you're not working with stagnant energy anymore. You're working with only the things that make sense, and therefore you're able to juggle everything. Obviously, do it within reason. Do not go too hard. If you feel like you need more balance, this card is asking for you to take a step back. If you've been realizing you've been doing a lot of work and not been getting a lot of play, it's probably a good time to go out and go touch some grass, go do some fun stuff, okay? And that'll also help you with the Queen of Athames as well, the Queen of Swords energy, with getting clarity about stuff. If you are in the weeds and you're not creating balance for yourself, it might be really hard to get clear about stuff. So if you feel like you're trying to get rid of anything, any of that energy or any of the physical things that you're trying to get rid of, but you're not seeing the clarity, it might be good to like take a step back and find the balance. If you've been doing sometimes you might be playing too hard and not doing enough work. That might be another, I think a much smaller group of people. I think most of us tend to go in the other direction, but it's possible, So keep that in mind in the month of September. If things start to pick up, you're going to be able to find that balance. Do not stress. But if you start to feel like you can't get the balance, take a step back and reassess. Okay? And your last card is the Two of Chalices. So this could be love coming in for you. This could also be you and your higher self. The Two of Cups is always a representation of, could be a representation for love, but it's usually unity with either another person, with yourself, or with a group of people. Typically it's two. I feel like in this particular reading, it feels like this could be you and your higher self. So as a result of letting go of all of this and moving into this new space, into this new cycle for yourself, you're finding a higher purpose. You're finding more parts of yourself and finding this sense of joy and a sense of purpose again, and where you might have felt maybe a little bit lost or a little bit like you're trying to find the balance here. You're finally starting to feel like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I can do this. And not just that, but like, I see what's working. I see what's not working. I see what's worked in the past and what's not worked in the past. And maybe you didn't always have clarity about that, but you're getting that clarity and it's helping you in your emotional state. So I think that you're going to have a really positive September. It seems like a really strong month for you. I'm going to pick one more card from an oracle deck called the Wild Things Oracle. I got this in Salem, Massachusetts. It's getting to be spooky season, so I thought that this would be a fun deck to pull from. This is basically, I think it fits very much in line with your reading because it's talking mostly about the shadow self and working with shadow. And when we go into the darker months, a lot of people do shadow. Wow, that was a lot of cards, but I feel like that was the card that's supposed to come out. Speaking of your unconscious, so you have quest into the subconscious. So again, that's just reinforcing what we've been talking about. This is talking, let's see if I can get it close up here. It's a beautiful card. I love this deck so much. See if I can point here and get her to I think that's as clear as we're gonna get. So the quest in the subconscious, this card is talking a lot about the shadow and shadow work, and figuring out if you're having triggers come up. If you're, sometimes when you are clearing some things out and you're moving into another realm, you're moving into a new cycle, there will be things in your subconscious that feel scared of something new, of something uncertain. And so we have a tendency to revert back into old ways, and you don't want to go backwards, right? So sitting with those things, anytime you feel like something is triggering, anytime you feel like something's coming up from the depths of your soul, or something that's stopping you, that's been stopping you, like you get to a certain, you're working really hard, and then you get to a certain point where you hit like a wall. There could be something around that makes you feel fearful, that makes your subconscious feel like it's not safe, and then it will retreat back into itself. So I think also because you got the Lord of Shadows earlier, this is all about that, the death. This is the death card, like I said before, so it's the ending of something, and you're getting a lot of cycle energy, so it makes sense that you're going to be questing a little bit into your subconscious. For all of us witches, we start looking more and more at shadow in the dark half of the year. It's just easier to get in touch with that, with all of the dark, spooky energies. You can kind of delve a little deeper and get into the nitty grit of why we do things. Because I feel like a lot of people run on their subconscious and don't even realize that they're doing it. And unfortunately, your subconscious, you want to accept it. You don't want to judge it in any way. But if you're running on your subconscious all the time, it's probably at some point going to stop you from doing all the fun stuff. It's going to zap you of the joy that you could have. So it feels like during this transition, during this cycle end for you, taking some time to like maybe do some journaling, or just sitting in the quiet, in the peace, if you can get it. Even just 5 minutes at a park, 5 minutes in quiet, 5 minutes away from your phone. Take a moment to take a couple deep breaths. I think it will benefit you greatly, because you have some great energy coming, and I feel like you're going to nail it. You just need to, as you're working through some stuff, figuring out what's creating that block, if you're feeling a block, okay? And that's going to help you find balance this month. That's what I have for you, Leo. I hope that this helped, and if you enjoyed this reading, I would love to hear from you in the comments below, or get a like from you. I would also love to continue to grow this channel, so subscribing would be a great help to me, and I look forward to seeing you next month for October, spooky season. I'm so excited. Can you tell? All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.